Greetings, my explorative starseeds, others, and experiencers. This show is based on the science of consciousness in contact with non-human intelligence. I'm leaning on a book here, more or less with my own experience. It's called Beyond UFO. So if any scholar want to study, something scientifically, like a survey that has really any merit in this field, this is your Bible. This is your Bible. It's involved are the Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Experiences. The organization is called FREE. You have editors Ray Hernandez, JD and MCP, Dr. John Klimo, PhD, and Dr. Rudy Schild, PhD. And I think also in part Mary Rodwell is involved. So very, very inspirational book. So basically, I will give you a few tables. One is a breakdown of subjects' country, origin, response to the question, do you believe that you have observed a non-human and intelligent entity? And in the United States, you have 50% saying yes. Yeah, I'm gonna go into the agreeable. Yeah, usually it breaks down into, 17% no and 26% are not sure. So let's look at Canada, 53%, Australia, 61%, United Kingdom, 59%, New Zealand, 54%, Germany, 67%, which amazes me because I know Germany for a long time. Very tough to get two people to believe in other things than what the consensus admits in the status quo. Ireland, 36%, interestingly. Denmark, 62%, Mexico, 38%, Netherlands, 36%, and other countries in general, like 54%. So then we have to break down. I want to go to table 7 here. Those who want to study the books in detail, you can go into the book and study in detail for what you need. I'm just here more wanting to break down where we are with the science and really the nitty gritty, which is what you want in this pattern to nail what's really being observed. Of course, there are many, many, many other stories, but we want to get like something that's like an agreeable timeline and where you can grasp what's going on. For those who are new into the field, just sit back, watch, and find your groove as this begins. So the types of non-human intelligent beings encountered in a matrix-like reality. First, I'll give you the percentage of what beings are being observed, and then I'll give you what is a matrix-type reality. Yeah? As we can assume, or let's assume that this is a simulation, and there are beings that have control over this with the ins and outs. So the beings that have been observed in the survey, which I also took part in, human looking, you have 45% people in the survey, like thousands of people basically across the board were interviewed over a process of probably, what I'm recalling, 5 to 6 years. So the studies show that human looking, we found 45.2% people agree. Other type looking, we just name it other type for now because there's so many species. 39.4%, spirit or ghost form, 36.6%, short, gray, 3 to 4 feet tall. On average, 21% have witnessed them. Tall grays, 5 to 9 feet, 15%. Hybrids, 12%. Reptilian, 11.6%. Insectoid, mantid, 9.8%. Large animal type, 6.7%. And small animal type, 4.4%. Some people see beings that look like horses. Some people have seen beings that look like in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the rascal, like but in suits, in humanoid form, in human attributes, would talk, would be telepathic. The types of non-human intelligent beings encountered in a matrix-like reality. So I'll break down cases. This will be the future template at some point, I will also go into interviewing people that have their own cases and what they've been reporting. So I had reports from friends that said, well, the being came through the wall. I will in detail explain to you what I, in my contact transmission or transmissions, have been, what they explain to me how they do that. It's not just the grace. There's a lot of races that actually have a capacity. So the grasp on reality, we're still learning. They say that the human race is at an infant stage. I haven't gotten even into history, and there's so many things that are tethered together that are mind blowing. But if you do this like Sherlock Holmes, like an investigative interdimensional journalist, and I don't have all the papers and the sources and the traditional route, but here's what I can say for my observation, which is my opinion. You know, you don't have to believe anything that I say, but listen to what I'm saying. Brian Foerster, and that's just a segment to that matrix, found elongated skulls, meaning not mended or artificially, bound, bigger volume, different brain capacities. The sutura, which meets here, the elongated skulls is in the back. The part that closes when the infant is born in 2 to 3 years here, where the crown chakra is, they don't seem to possess that. Sometimes even a different teeth structure. So, and this is why this is part of a reality that you can grasp. If an archaeologist like Brian Foerster finds these elongated skulls in the peninsula in Peru in the desert, and an accumulation of those in that region, then you have to ask yourself, why are you finding only elongated skulls in that region? I mean, there are other cases, I'm just giving you that case in my observation. You have a group of people in the desert, and let's go back way back in time. Maybe this wasn't all city, this was desert, like rural country, maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago in the past. Then, as I watched ancient civilizations, Linda Moulton Howe explains that she had interviewed a whistleblower. And I think Linda Moulton Howe is really a very detailed person into the research. So I'm listening. And she explains that a whistleblower said he went to India with a former colleague, if I'm not mistaken, and if I quote this right, and they were giving maps and then instructions, and they were told that what we today call the Mayans are Pleiadian hybridization program offspring, meaning genetically manipulated human species by an extraterrestrial race that came here a long time ago. But this was not so long ago. It explains that 2500 BC, let me not mix that up. Basically, let's not give you a timeline. It is explained that different extraterrestrial factions had different agendas, and basically they kept the experimentations and hybridization of the human race from one another. Like, you wouldn't move the species that you have created here to next to the other species that have been created by another race. So they moved a species that they had created in the region of India into the peninsula in Peru. So that means we have a match from a whistleblower and from the findings that I put together, that a race hybridized whatever native folks was there around that time, And then they took a group of them and had camps, or paradisio also means the place, the land where the cattle is kept. So it's not paradise, is not the word paradise. It's more like a controlled environment where you can bring your species, like a biodome, but more of like an open experiment. So that matches with what the whistleblower has said. So you know, the extraterrestrial influence in the human race is very old, probably 300 million years. For that, you have to go into Michael Cremo, Ancient Human Antiquities, where he goes back, and bear with me before I go into the experiencer level. You have to really expand your mind into, like, it's impossible what we're finding, it's out of control, but it's good. That a temple that was found by a couple that did research on the coast of Cuba was at a sea level depth that was 176 million years ago. So meaning you have to go, correct me if I'm wrong, 1,900 feet below the actual surface on the coast and go to the bottom, and you find a temple structure like Tikal. The image was leaked. It is online, you can Google it. It is an entire temple structure. But the water levels to go back down, and this is what I find interesting, what Michael Cremo states. Human antiquities, like extreme antiquities. He said that in the model of the timeline, we would have to go back 176 million years for the water to be at a level for a temple to be built. For all I care, the temple can be 200 million years old. The concept of time and time dimensions we have yet to understand. Same thing goes for the Sphinx. But before we go into history, we go into experience. So this is just to highlight to you that we've been influenced, we've been genetically modified. Vedic text and ancient, say, Brahmic religions can go back into how many times the human race has been changed, altered, or modified. Know this. We've been influenced. We have never been alone. There's a thing of the perception of reality and what we have lost. And I'm trying to actually recalibrate and decode and find that, so we can understand ourselves and get cellular memory back from mystical states that the shamans know how to practice, and some don't even know how to do this anymore today. That we have to understand the ultimate pharma on this planet are the plants, not scientifically developed products to enhance lifestyles or to bring comfort back. The only way to bring the spirit back to its natural existence is with listening to the plant kingdom and going back there again and studying and learning again from the masters, which are the masters of nature. So, matrix-like reality. So, let's break down the questions we have to ask, and I'm using the tables of content here, not just breaking down percentage, is, how people perceive contact. So I have a few questions, and then I will bring down or break down what does that even mean in this reality type matrix for us. So one question is, did this ET contact experience happen when you're physically in your body? Yes, no, that's for you to answer. Was your consciousness separated from your body at the time of ET contact? Yes or no? I feel like I want to explain also why this is being asked. Some people have sleep paralysis. That's when contact takes place and actually your consciousness is not fully in your body. So it's like you're in between, in and out. You see the modus operandi of your human avatar operating system, but you're not really having access. That's why people feel this fear and being paralyzed. It's a misunderstanding, but this can be fixed. While in this matrix-like type of reality, where your thoughts sped up. So a lot of people experience when these things take place that you're not in a right state of mind. Like you almost feel like you either brain fog or it's molasses, or you can't really access thoughts the way I can do that now, having full control over the reality that they're in. That's why this is being asked. While in this matrix, like reality, where your sense is more vivid than usual, and a lot of people agree on that. It's like a psychedelic trip to them. Those who have never had any experience with that psychedelic trip, and that doesn't mean anything special. It just means that your brain capacity and your gamma and your alpha and your brain states are sped up. You are super tuned and you are in a hyper focus. Well, monks that study that for 80 years in an ashram, mastering that, you will be overwhelmed when it takes place. So don't be afraid. If it happens to you for the first time, it's very confusing. So, while in this reality, did you feel separated from your body? For example, did you lose awareness of your body and you left your body and you existed outside of it? In some cases, the soul consciousness of your essential self is being removed because the body can't take it and contact takes place. The beings that come in apparently have control over how to modulate reality, how they work around your normal senses, and outside of what you call time perception. Did you have a feeling of peace and pleasantness? And a lot of people, interestingly, were not terrified. They were not in terror. There was no problem with the contact. Did you see or feel surrounded by a brilliant light? Many say it gets very, very bright in a room. It's a very bright light with them. Some call it also a mystical experience. Then, while in this reality, which it seems like a little bit offset for people, did you see deceased or religious forms or spirit forms? And there's only, I can see here, 36% responding. A very small percentage sense a presence, but they couldn't put together like what presence, what am I sensing, what's actually happening here. Did you see scenes from your past come back to you? In rare cases that happens because, and here's the complication of the situation for the contact nation, it's sometimes when people die, it's like a mystical state, a psychedelic enhanced state, where your brain hemispheres are synchronized left and right, and your hertz frequency, as in how your brain oscillates, is close to 40 hertz. This is the shamanic state. Not everybody is trained, and it can be very confusing when that takes place. So not all the time is the bright light, and then you see your grandmother or your brother. We also have people here that are more galactic than Earth incarnate souls. They don't think so 3D, they way out there like me. And we don't get into, oh, grandma showed up or grandpa showed up, which I had an interesting experience where I actually saw my grandfather on a spaceship. And he smiled at me because I was like, I know you, but he was a younger version of him that was before I was born. So I was like, but you look familiar. I had to put the pieces together. When I left that ship, which was a submersible, I realized that was Appa. That was my grandfather. So it seemed, and it felt familiar and welcome, and I felt at home. So the cases get strange and weird and wacky, but allow yourself to really explain your experience without anybody thinking that you're crazy. Like, really let it flow. And that's when you begin to get out of this conditioning we call the Anunnaki and Draconian pre-programming, that you don't go there because that's upsetting for the slave master, and you get punished if you go psychic or paranormal or other dimensional. Then, did you seem to enter some other unearthly world? And yes, people have experienced that they have been moved from other planets, and I've interviewed people, which I will bring back on camera for those that are not shy. Trust me, some people are they staying away from YouTube. They have maybe a Yahoo account. They don't trust the internet. They are very paranoid. They don't trust anything. They're not even giving interviews. But they say off camera, I share this with you. When I look into these people's eyes, Trust me, when somebody was traumatized and somebody had an otherworldly experience and they believe it to be true, whatever they have experienced, however this came to them, in vision or physicality or reality, you can see it in their eyes. When somebody has crossed or seen death, you can see it in their eyes. They don't flinch, they don't blink, they know what they're talking about. They're very, very accurate in knowing where they are. Make no mistake. The narrators, those who do the cookie cutter and weaved together storylines that they got from others, have no experience and no emotion that connects them with that. And you can see that because they're not showing any emotional response to the story that they're actually sharing with you. Then another question: did time seem to speed up and slow down? So there's a very high percentage. We have 75% here in the people in the survey that said yes. So time speeding up or slowing down is having to do with time dilution. That's when these beings come in, you must understand time is becoming something else. And in a zero field, this doesn't really exist, meaning they can visit you in 1 minute. You think you've been with them for hours, and in the same minute they leave you where they found you, weaving back time parts together, so the observer wouldn't even have noticed that you have been contacted. Did you feel a sense of harmony or unity with the universe? And a lot of people felt that oneness with the universe, the connecting with everything, an overwhelming love and positive. So overall in this survey, which had me amazed, is, you know how people say it's horrifying and I'm traumatized. And yeah, some people need help. Some people really need assistance in understanding contact and how this is taking place. And the more you develop a consciousness and awareness of self, the more you will realize your own contact and you will come forth with your own experience. Did you suddenly feel that you understood everything or a lot more, or like having epiphany after epiphany? And a lot of people in contact realize more about themselves. It's similar to people like taking ayahuasca when they make contact. I do not personally believe in people that have done 80 times ayahuasca and have no magical powers. That means you're very, very, very dense. I spoke to a shaman. They say between 1 to 3 trips, when you are clean enough and pure enough, are enough to reset you and show you the work that must be done and the skills that you're coming back with. People that are having to do recreational and 20 times and all of this, I don't believe in that. It's supposed to activate you into that awareness, and then the plant will show you the work. The plant is not the miracle thing that makes it happen overnight. The miracle is that the plant is showing you and the work that must be done. More will be explained when we go into the shamanic aspect and chapter of how extraterrestrial contact is dealt with, when you're leaving the regular earthly shamanic ritual and it becomes galactic shaman with those who are very galactically connected with their family. Then, did you see scenes from the future? And in some cases, people reported they have seen things to come or how they would unfold. So let me share one thing, and I will bring everything that I can remember, everything that I have into this conversation, so this can be an enlightening chapter for, it's past guru and past sitting in an ashram for 80 years. You're being switched on, you're being turned on, contact is returning, individual delegates are being picked for physical contact, and this takes place in this show, The Ascential Experience. I'm trying my best to help you prepare for this, learn. We will also go to Q&As. You will send me in questions, which I suggest starting with this show, that ask questions in the comment box. Please be productive and constructive so this can be respected, and we can help to actually expand our consciousness and advance into higher spheres, which is what we're here to do. And this is the first show, and this is the beginning. So they ask questions that scenes from the past come to you. That also helps. The mystical state will show you past, present, and future. Depending on how trained your brain is and in brain frequencies, you will see those things. And it's up to you to have a dream book or a spell book or whatever, how to interpret that and bring it back. And ancient knowledge will also flare up and will return. That's when we come into channelings. into the art of basically the transmitted codes, how you bring them into physical form. Right now, this is just about experience and experiencers. And I'm looking for professional experiencers and their stories in the future that preferably I'd like to interview when they come to visit Sedona. When it's warm, we go out in the field, and the story begins, and you share your stuff, and preferably also have a website, have a business, have a purpose you fulfill to get that accelerated while you're here, because this is important. Now comes the practicality of the experience. No more hiding. Those who are Bible true, you know the passage when it says God calls his Elijahs now out of the cave. All of you are now chosen ones. All of you are Elijahs right now, and all of you are being called to move, to expand, to go into higher awareness, bigger dimensional aspects, and find your purpose and why you're here, and not to be frustrated by the things that you have seen, self-referencing and comparing. It's not necessary. You're all unique in aspect to why you're here, with what you're here, and you're all pieces of the puzzle, and every piece makes the picture complete. So everybody doing their job, of whoever is active and however active you are, bring your art forward, bring your codes forward, share the experience, find shows like mine in the future that are willing to interview you past the higher platform status and Hollywood status, where people can't get in because you don't know anybody, but you have fantastic stories. And it is up to me to evaluate and heal and feel what you are saying and what you're willing to share with the people. So let's come to a conclusion with the first setting of the show. Did the reality of this multidimensional experience seem real to you or not? So many people say it was real, but it was another real. Like, I can't bring this to you. I don't have any physical data, but this is what I've experienced, and I was really physically in that other realm or room or ship. There are many, many stories possible, which will unfold with this is season 1, episode 1. There's more to come. Were you brought to an ET council or meeting? I was brought to a council. And trust me, I don't say this lightly, this comes with responsibility. They say I'm off the Ra. It's like a surname. Ra is a state of being. If you watch the Egyptian teachings, the high developed ETs wish to be in the state of Ra, which is the state of oneness with the sun through the central sun. That's why you have the falcon above the head and connected to the consciousness and the oneness in the body. And that is the state of Ra. Not an easy state to attain, highest state attainable on this planet from here, with that perspective. So the council was the Arcturian council. I was one of the council. I was in a robe and I didn't look like myself. More to come. Last question. Did you perceive that time did not exist? And many people agreed that when this came in, it felt like, I don't know what 3 o'clock is, 4 o'clock. We have a feeling, when the sun sets, we decline, circadian rhythms, when the sun rises, we get up. When the sun sets, we kind of get down. And when you feel nature, you have a natural rhythm away from the big cities and the big city lights. When you recalibrate yourself with that, you know where your time is. But in these experiences, you no longer have the reference. And how this is taught and trained that you can reference this so it makes sense to you will be explained in the next episode. So I see you most certainly on the flip side. This is the Ascential Experience, and I'm Arcturus Ra. Peace and eternal blessings.